I want to ask you this. Do you remember your first day at Clark?
Oh, my first day. Um, yeah, I low-key, I remember a little of it, not all of it. Um, I felt kind of like lost a little bit just because I had transferred from Southern Illinois. That's the first school I attended. And I Clark, I may have only knew actually I knew three people. I knew three people that was from my city. It was three women. I all went to high school with them. But still I didn't know a lot of people. And I just remember I was a little frustrated with my mom because I was supposed to have my car. You know what I mean? This is a whole city I was never in. And I
Hmm.
was just on campus. I didn't really know anybody. I didn't it was just tough. I didn't really know anybody other than those three women.
Yeah.
Maybe only one of them stayed like on campus.
Mm.
You know what I mean? So but man, it was really a magical feeling though. You know what I mean? Like kind of just being at HBCU.
Hmm.
So yeah, that's kind of what I remember. That's the only things I kind of remember on that day. I mean, that was
Yeah.
a little, no.
Was that your first time in Atlanta or you been in Atlanta before?
First time ever in Atlanta.
Oh, wow. So was it
I
like a
remember.
culture shock for you? Was it a culture shock or was you like, oh, okay, yeah, this is the right
Oh
place
yeah,
for me to be?
yeah. It was like a man. Yeah, it was a real big culture shock. I didn't know it was like I didn't really have any. I didn't know really the history of Atlanta. I didn't know it was gonna be like that many black people. Um, it was my first time. I mean, I traveled like a good amount as a kid, but it was definitely like a culture shock for real. Like just the culture, the city, and like where everything was at. Like the West End and everything. It was it, it
Yeah.
was different, bro. It
Yeah.
was,
Definitely different for sure. If you're coming from, because nothing like Atlanta, no, to be honest, for real, for real. I mean, I know it's becoming like a a culture pot, a mixing pot, a melting pot, if you will, in the city. So folks from everywhere kind of gravitating towards down there. But as far as the people that was born and bred, it's a different vibe, it's a different energy anytime you go down there. So I'm sure you coming from Chicago, right? Is that where you're from?
yeah,
So coming from Chicago to Atlanta, like it's a different scene for sure. I
definitely.
don't
No,
blame I don't blame you for that. What part of Chicago are you from?
I'm actually from the west suburbs of Chicago, in it's not a small city. I'm from a city called like Aurora. I
Aurora.
usually
Yeah, I heard
I
that.
usually tell people Chicago from like because outside the state, if I say Aurora, you don't even gonna know what that is. But Aurora is actually the third biggest city in Illinois.
Hmm.
Um, it's like about it's I want to say west of Chicago, maybe like 30-35 minutes.
Hmm. Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
so yeah, that's where I came from. Um,
Hmm.
that city, it had a good amount of people, but Atlanta was obviously bigger. You know what I mean? Um, so I'm blessed to have went there. It definitely shaped me. For just how I view the world and just my perspective on everything. You
Yeah.
know? Yeah.
Yeah. I definitely heard about Aurora for a couple of reasons. Number one, my mom's from Chicago and I have a lot of family from Chicago. So when I was in fifth grade, our class had to do a state report that was not in California. So I did Illinois because
Mhm.
that's where most of my family from. So
I didn't
I
know that.
yeah, yeah. So I was talking about like other parts besides Chicago. I was talking about like Rockford and Aurora
Yeah.
and Champaign,
Yeah.
Peoria, like all them
Yeah.
places. So yeah, I definitely heard of Aurora. And if I'm not mistaken, ain't that where Carl Thomas, ain't he from Aurora, Illinois?
Yeah. He actually is. Yep.
Yeah, yeah. So he put it on for y'all city for
Facts.
real.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of people came out of Aurora, man. I mean, so yeah. I
I
mean, cool.
I dig that, bro. I'm very curious too. So what made you want to get into film specifically?
Film specifically, I mean, growing up, I was always into writing. Um, I want to say I started writing maybe like in middle school. And I originally I just wanted to be a screenwriter. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Just because like writing, I was able to kind of escape from like a lot of things I was kind of going through, or like it's just my like, it's my self-expression. I mean, I grew up an athlete as well, but writing was like, everything. It's just all of a sudden I've been into actual film and filmmaking. I didn't really get into until maybe like my last like semester at Southern Illinois.
Mm-hmm.
Say what is that? I'll probably say like 2016.
Got
Um,
you.
when I started thinking about it, like the thought was in my mind. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Uh, it was an actual man, bro, I was in a I forgot what assignment it was, man, but I had to make like a short film, man. It was maybe like only 60 seconds. And like, I was like, bro, like I can't, it was always seemed like, damn, like making a film kind of seemed like impossible. You know what I mean? Like it was like, damn, like you know what I mean? But I ended up making it with I had a roommate, his name was Ryan. It was him, and I don't know if I filmed it or I had somebody else, but I don't even remember what the short film was. And I seen it, and I was so fascinated that I completed it, but it wasn't like good or anything. It was like I don't know, it was something small. It's like maybe a 60-second like short film, but it was just so fascinating to me because it was just so it was like creative, like whatever project it was something super creative. But that was just a thought in my mind. I didn't think about being a filmmaker or kind of like indulging in that like after it was like dope and I completed the assignment. I think I had got an A on it if
Mm-hmm.
I could remember. I just don't remember what the context of the assignment was, but I know we had to do a film and it was for Southern. They didn't have a strong communications program or like a media program. And that's one of the reasons why I transferred because I didn't want to like just look back and like, why the fuck did I go to Southern Illinois? You know what I mean?
Why did you go
So,
there? Why did you
well,
want to go to Southern Illinois?
I went there more so because my mom kind of like she was kind of like forcing us to go to college. She was saying, you're gonna live in this house, you're gonna go get an education and stuff. And I didn't want to. I wanted to just get out of to the city I was in.
Right,
I mean,
right.
you're there for and you kind of want to explore the world.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Um, and then I think it's more so when I was picking colleges. I was really worried about really just the tuition, man, and kind of like I didn't want to just like be buried in debt. I thought
Yeah.
about Columbia, Chicago,
That's where my mom
which
went. My mom went there.
Columbia College.
Chicago. Yeah,
Yeah,
my mom went there. Yep.
so
Good school.
that's a school I really wanted to go to. I was gonna go there, but it's just too expensive. And then I think Southern Illinois was one of the only options if I could remember. And
And
then
and your intention was film, right? Or was this some other major?
it was I mean it was just communication. It was just
Got
communication.
it, got you.
And then I just wanted to write though. I didn't want to be a filmmaker back then. Like I didn't.
Mm,
I was thinking about writing, not really because I just was so fascinated really with the writing process, and I care more
yeah.
about the actual writing of like television shows, movies, more so as the actual filmmaking process of it.
So
Um,
so screenwriting, just screenwriting only, not like books
yeah,
or nothing like that. Screenwriting is only.
yeah. And then
Makes
when
sense.
yeah, so but more so, long story short, I went there really because it was a school my mom was supposed to go to, but she got pregnant with me. So it was more so she didn't force me to go, but she was leaning, saying, "Oh, like Southern Illinois." And then I was like, "Screw it!" Like I went, and I actually enjoyed my time there. It definitely that was another thing that like shaped me because you're getting to experience and being around like other kids from like different walks of life.
Hmm.
So you know what I mean, and I definitely have like some great experiences there. But that's one of the main reasons I go. My mom had went because my mom had not forced me, but she was like persuading me like kind of like real strongly. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
yeah. And I'm a I was a transfer too. When I was a Clark, I came in my junior year because
uh-huh.
because before then I was in a film school in the LA area. Went to Columbia College Hollywood, which
Yeah.
is kind of related. They
Are
used
they
to,
connected?
yeah, they used to be, but then they ended up like branching out and like doing their own thing. But when they first started, they
Yeah.
that school and Columbia College, Chicago, was like heavily associated with each other.
Yeah.
And just like you, I had a really good time there too.
Yeah.
While I was there, and it was funny because even though I was around that time, I spent a lot of time at USC. Even though I wasn't a student, I didn't even get into USC. I wasn't a student, but my cousin was. So there will be times where I'll be like on at my film school for 2, 3 days out the week, and then I would just be on USC's campus, you know, for twice a week, hanging out with my cousin or going to classes that are open to the public.
Yeah. I always wanted to low key. I always wanted to go to USC like when I was a kid, man. But I ain't gonna lie, I just never thought I would get accepted. I didn't even like apply.
It's
And
hard, bro. I know
yeah,
you could have tried though. Don't hold yourself back.
yeah, no, no, you're right, you're right. But I just, Yeah,
Nah,
that's
I
what
get it.
my
I
dreams.
get it. It is a small percentage, and honestly, you just gotta know. You gotta know people, and so a lot of folks that got into that program
Mhm.
were blessed and very privileged to be in that space,
Mhm.
especially if they got a cousin or a parent, a grandparent that went there, or somebody that grew up to have access to a lot of these access to film or the
Yeah,
access to the knowledge of film. Um, so and then there's definitely a percentage that work hella hard to get there. You know what I'm saying? But most of the time, you just gotta know somebody.
yeah,
That's how
facts.
you get. That's how you get in. It's very cliquish.
About them connections, man.
That part. Steven Spielberg. I think I read the story how he applied to USC like 3 times before he even got in.
Damn, I didn't know that. I know
Yeah.
there was a lot of the greats they went there more
Oh
so that
yeah.
I saw like the grad program though, more
Yeah.
graduate.
For sure. For sure. What's uh hell of a give me actually, you know what? I was gonna ask you this question. Give me a day that you give me like the most lit day that you had at what was your other school? What was the name of it?
Southern Illinois.
Yeah, give me like a day that you never forgot at Southern
Oh
Illinois.
man,
The
I
time of
I, I
the
I had
time
a
to be
couple.
alive.
I had a couple of those days, man. I feel like college, man. Whoever go to college, man, depending on what school you go to, those is like I hate when people say it's the best years of your life because that sounds kind of like it sounds like the rest of your life gonna be miserable. That's just like some weak ass shit to say. But man, like
Facts.
Southern Illinois, bro, I don't think a lot of colleges have this. Southern Illinois, whoever went there, they remember there was this, they still have it. I want to say it's called I'm making it sound like it's ancient. It wasn't even that long ago, but they have these days called Solar Bear, bro, where it's not homecoming, it's not homecoming, it's any school celebration. It's literally you drink all day. Like you
Oh
wake up
man.
and drink, bro. But it's a tradition inside the city. So you just wake up and you get and then like you'll be riding around and like everybody just outside, bro. Everybody just outside walking to like the frat houses, bro. Lit, bro. Like lit.
Man. Man.
I had I want to say I want to say my freshman year because I was a freshman, it was just cool.
Hmm.
But then like my sophomore year, it's two. I want to say it's one day in the fall and maybe one day in the spring, or maybe it was just the fall. But it was that. It wasn't even homecoming. And then like, bro, it was so like lit. Like you're waking up, like you just going to people's cribs, like y'all just drinking, and then y'all walk into like it's like day parties, like at the frat houses, everybody just outside. Um, man, bro, I was that was a time, but that was probably one of the that was like a lit day. And then Southern Illinois is in a smaller town called Carbondale. So I feel like schools like that are just kind of a little bit, I don't want to say more like funner, but like you kind of make the most of what you have because it's just so small. You feel me? So
Hmm.
it's always like a lot of stuff to get into. But that was probably like the most lit day. I'll probably say like my sophomore year, like solar bear was like in the fall, man. It was bro, it was just lit, man. Like people on cars, like it's just fun. People on top of houses, like
Man,
rules like on the at the frat houses, bro, just lit, man. I was like, man, I'll never forget that, man. I'm blessed to have went there for real, man.
that sounds like a time to be alive for sure.
For
Can't
sure.
knock that. I think I had one friend that went there, and she was from Chicago too, and I think she went there around the same time you did. So, but I'm sure like she probably had that experience, the same experience as you did.
Pretty much a majority of the black population there, I think I want to say was from Chicago for real.
Hmm.
Like actually like in the city, different sides. Majority of people I met, they were all and I was friends with there. They were all from Chicago or maybe like the small suburban parts, like how I
Hmm.
was small
Yeah,
suburban, but like they were probably like a little closer to Chicago. You know what I
yeah,
mean? So
totally makes
yeah,
sense. Word. Okay, I dig that. So,
yeah.
why did you decide to choose Clark specifically?
Clark Atlanta. So it got to a time like my sophomore year, man. I don't know what was in me, man. I really was I felt like I was like in a box, like at Southern Illinois, man. I was trying to be, this big writer. It's what I want to do, but it's like it's Southern Illinois. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Like Carbondale, Illinois. And I felt like mean, I kind of got to go to a bigger school, but not even more so a bigger school. I just have to go to a bigger city just to get more connections and kind of do more things. And I thought about, Columbia again, being in Chicago, but I don't think Columbia was more the picture. I was more so looking at, that's when I was looking at USC again.
Hmm.
But man, it was just so expensive. And somebody had mentioned to me once, I'm like, why don't you just kind of like think about like Atlanta? Like, because Tyler, that's when everybody was saying like, oh, like Tyler Perry, like, Atlanta was like, Black Hollywood.
Hmm.
And Clark didn't even like cross my mind. I'm going to HBCU. It didn't really like cross my mind. So I was just looking, and I was like, well, why would I apply? I started looking into their programs. I mean, they have a dope program, but it's more so about the city of Atlanta. I
Yeah.
mean? And I seen like, that's when I noticed like, damn, a lot of things are being filmed in Atlanta. A lot of productions are transpiring. That they have a big like media space. So I ended up like applying,
Hmm.
and I ended up like getting in. I mean, I kind of thought about it for a little bit, and then I was like, hey man, this is where I want to go. I mean, I got one life. I'm gonna go here, but I didn't like choose it because of the of it being an HBCU, but not like to like I wasn't really educated on HBCUs. I didn't like grow up like knowing anything about them. What I
Hmm.
mean? I was really transformed just because I wanted to be in a bigger city to kind of get more connections because I was more so kind of trying to dabble inside the media space and writing, just being inside that world. So that's why like I chose it. And then more so everything like came after everything I was experiencing, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it was more so being about like being in Atlanta, you know what I
So
mean? So
so it makes sense for sure.
yeah.
So when you got there, how did you how did you personally like the classes that you took there?
The classes I took there, um, well, you transfer, you still kind of got some gen eds, you know what I mean? I'm taking chemistry and, not looking back, I'm like, bro, I was not even taking this. Like, it's just, you
I
don't
feel
really,
it, man. I feel
uh,
that.
I always, I always, um, I always exceeded like heavily, like all A's inside like the media inside film classes, just because that's where my interest was. Like I don't even think in none of those classes I didn't get nothing less than really like an A. You know what I
Mm,
mean? Then like teachers pet, like I loved what I was doing. You know what I mean?
yeah,
I was sitting front row and everything. I think more so in the other classes, I kind of got not mediocre grades, but I was really just trying to get by. You know
yeah.
what I mean? I was just trying to get by just because like I had a mentor. I have a mentor in my life. He's not like in the film and media space. He's a basketball coach,
That's
and
what's up.
like he always told me, man, like make sure you should have no reason to get good grades. You know what I mean? But I'm letting you know, kind of like these certain classes is like the core classes you're taking. I mean, you're gonna kind of look back and be like, like them classes, you can't really apply nothing to that like in your life depending on what field you're in. You know what I mean? So I
Hmm.
always kind of like as a waste of time, but I did more so I didn't fail or flunk any of them or anything like that. But as I kind of look back, I didn't try like my hardest like in them just because I was more so as focused on what I really wanted to do. You know
Hmm.
what I mean? So that was really that though. Like when I first got there, you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah.
So
Did you take a screenwriting class when you was there,
I
or any type of
took
writing, like English, whatever? How were those classes
I
that
also
applied
yeah,
writing specifically?
and English was a class, and that's how I knew I loved writing. English was a class always in high school, middle school, high school, and college. I always exceeded in English,
Mm,
like always, just because I loved writing essays. My mom I used to always give it to my mom to kind of like she'll proofread it. I used to love writing essays.
yeah.
Um, just kind of always been like a nerd when it comes to writing. I took a screenwriting class by I forgot the professor's name. She was older. She's probably like the oldest in the not to talk about her age, but I remember she was like kind of like the oldest like on the staff.
Hmm.
Um I think Dr. Stevens. You remember her?
Yeah, I personally never had her, but I
Yeah.
do know about her for sure.
Yeah. But the screenwriting class was so kind of to what I know now. Obviously you get better as a writer. It was so like it was really just like like the basic basics. Like it was like the one-on-one. I can't even look at it. It didn't really like I mean it did help you. I mean they're like it's college, but like it was like the basics. I mean it's kind of like elementary school like
Uh,
screenwriting. Like it was more so it's like okay like but it was still college level for people who was really want to learn screenwriting. I remember certain things that pop in my head. I remember we were watching Charlie Chapel's. I hope I pronounce his name right. He's like an older filmmaker. He we used to watch
Like what era? Charlie who? You mean Charlie Chaplin?
Chaplin.
Yeah,
My
yeah,
bad.
yeah,
I
yeah. No,
pronounced
you
it.
good.
But,
Yeah, that's old, old.
yeah, that's no, because it was so old. But I remember we used to I forgot what film it was, but it was black and white, and we basically had to write the just the everything we seen visually like on the screen. And she was basically training us to, because that's how you're supposed to, write, just kind of like what that's what the reader, when somebody's ever reading your script, they're supposed to like visually like come off the page so they can kind of like see it. And
Yeah,
that was really that, and then really just format, and then we would have to um write maybe like two 3 page like script, maybe just like a scene. um and that was like maybe like our final or something like that. But that was more so, it was like we was kind of
that's
watching
it.
things. Yeah, like we were just kind of like watching things, and we would just have to kind of like write it visually like on a script. And I think one time we had to pitch something,
Mm,
It was like, but I think that was like more so finals and like a midterm. That was really about it though.
that's
You know,
dope. That's
yeah.
dope. Pitching is necessary. But I was about to say writing a final for 2, 3 pages. I'm like, that's it. Like that's all.
I think
That
it's
sounds
more
like
like
an
a
easy
scene. Yeah.
class.
Yeah.
But but that's
Yeah.
real. That's still cool though. I'm sure you still learned a lot during that class, even though it was still even though you were still advanced at that point.
Yeah.
You know what I
No, for
mean?
sure.
I get it. Do you have any screenwriters that you look up to?
Oh man. Ooh, I really love, one of my favorites is Kevin Williamson. I'm like a stan of like the Scream franchise.
Mm,
Um I kind of like, I know his story, like, he wrote Scream 1, Scream 2, Scream 4, and then like he was just a producer on the rest, just because they brought in other writers.
yeah.
He I want to say I don't know if he created Vampire Diaries, but I think he EP'd it. I know for sure he
Mm,
EP'd it. I don't know if he created it, and then he wrote like Dawson's Creek. I
sheesh.
was just fascinated with I was just fascinated really with just his voice. And I love him. I love it's so funny we just brought him up the other day, man. I really love one of my favorite writers really is Jewel.
Oh yeah, shout out Joel Taylor,
Like,
man.
because
Yeah.
when you the more you get into like writing, you realize like to really have your script stand out and really be a phenomenal writer, you have to have a voice. It's basically
Hmm.
like your version of whatever story you're telling. Like, we read somebody's script, if we can, get maybe like the references they're talking about, how they describe certain things. Like, you kind of got to have a unique voice where somebody picks up your script and without reading who's it from, they can probably guess, okay, no, he wrote it. You know what I mean? Because like it's
Hmm.
certain things. Love her, Shonda Rhimes. Shonda Rhimes is dope. Uh,
Legend. Legend.
yeah, I'm gonna be honest. I don't really have like a long list of favorite, writers. Those are like the ones I really like, and I admire.
That's a solid
But I
list.
always
That's a
reading
solid
though. Yeah,
list.
yeah. So I'm
I'm,
always reading for sure though.
yeah, I feel that. No, I like that list. Those are pretty good. Those are definitely excellent, excellent, excellent writers and
Yeah,
uh to look up to for sure. Nah, I think they all have something to add to the table too. Like you can, and I didn't think about that. You're right. There is something beautiful when you read a script or if you watch a movie and you go like, okay, the personality of the writers there, I see it.
yeah.
This makes sense.
When I didn't when you kind of get deeper into writing and you want to just be somebody who you want to be phenomenal at the craft. Well, I don't want to say phenomenal, but you really kind of want to separate yourself from the pack. If you kind of just study whether somebody's a filmmaker or a writer, the thing that you go watch a Quentin Tarantino like film or you read a script, okay, you're gonna know it's his. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's something
Yeah.
about like them as an artist where what I mean, they have something like about them. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
And that's how you kind of brand yourself, and that's how you kind of just separate yourself from others. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? You gotta have that. Not you don't. Now there's some people who are just great and they are just great writers, and that's fine. But if like people are like writers who have like brands who are like kind of getting these overall deals, who are actually like well known. If you actually take the time and kind of watch whatever, like watch their whatever their product or read their scripts, you'll realize, okay, like he has like there's a voice here. Like I can tell like they wrote this script. You know what I
Mm.
mean? They're known for something. You know what I mean? So
Yeah,
that's what it's
yeah,
about. Like the more you get into it.
yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
And you can tell, like, based on the work that they put in for every writer, like for every screenwriter, you can tell that they really care about this project based on how they write, how it's
Yeah.
written, and how it's expressed
Yeah,
on
it's just a lot
screen.
of work, man. It's a lot of
Yeah,
work. It's a
more
lot
than
of
people, more than people realize.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's just a
Or
lot of drafts to get something, to up to par.
yeah, 1000%. Like, you know how many writers have to go back? Like, they give in this draft, nope, go back, write it again. Give it, you turn this draft, nope, go back, write it, edit it. Next thing you know, you're on like that 20th draft
Yeah, and
before
then
things can get
and then
greenlit.
and then with all that, not with all that, like you can do all that, and then the script is still never done because like you could be in production for something, and you could be in production for something, and then like you lose a location or something just not clicking right. Okay, well you have to rewrite it. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Like when you're in post production, let's say you're in post production and then a line's not really hitting. You looking at all the takes. Well, you have to. I don't want to say it's not really rewriting, but you have to cut it in a way where maybe like you cut that line of dialogue where they don't say it. I've done that before.
That's very true. Same.
It hit so.
Very true.
It's one of the like most crucial parts when it comes to like filmmaking and just film and TV in general. It's all
Hmm.
about the story to me.
Are there any other writers outside of screenwriting that you look up to, or do you strictly stick to screenwriters like poets or authors
Yeah.
or journalists?
Um.
Or if it's just screenwriting, like that's totally fine.
I kind of growing up, man. I told you I was so in love with writing. I used to read books. I read I feel like I read every Goosebumps.
Hell yeah,
I read
classic.
I read two of my favorite books was by Lois Duncan. She wrote I Know What You Did Last Summer and then Killing Mr. Griffin.
I didn't
Uh
I did not know I know what you did last summer is a movie, right?
yeah,
Or a
it was
TV show?
no, yeah, it was originally a book and then but it was originally a book, but it got adapted into a film. But like there's huge overall it's the same, but they kind of turned it more into like a horror film. Like a lot of stuff that transpired in a book
Got you.
different, and the way they packaged it up,
Hmm.
it turned it into a horror film. It was kind of more of like a thriller.
Got it. Yeah, I did not know that it was based off a book. Didn't know
Yeah.
that.
But those were the kind of like the only books like I read. But I always enjoyed like reading. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? Those are like the books that really come to mind. So, but I don't really want to say that they were like Goosebumps. I'll say who was the creator? Arlo
R.L.
Stein.
Stein. R.L.
Yeah.
Stein.
I would say he was one of my favorites because like I was always intrigued. Like my cousins, man, like when I came over their crib one time because I didn't know I went inside one of their rooms. They had like a box and they had like just a collection of like all like all the books, man. And like
Yeah.
I used to always buy them. I used to go to the library. I had like a library card. I
Yup.
used to just enjoy reading, man. I used to just love, just love stories, man. So I would just really say, I'll say R. Stein. I was really it from as far as authors, you know what I
Word.
mean?
Word. Yeah, I mean, it's stories is one of the best things that's creative. I don't think there's one of the best things that we can do, whether
Yeah,
that's sharing a story or telling a story, creating a story. There's nothing that exists outside of a story medium.
facts. I
Everything
would say
has a story.
I would say Stephen King too. I forgot to mention him.
Yeah.
Uh,
Oh, legend for sure.
yeah, Stephen King. I remember I read it like twice, and then I read something else of his. I just kind of really don't remember. It was I remember I got Amazon Kindle at one point, and it was just on my
Mhm.
phone. I was just reading. You
That's
know what I
what's
mean?
up.
Yeah. So yeah, I'll say those two, man.
Good ones.
No,
Do you remember the last book that you read from like cover to cover? Or is there anything that you're reading right now?
right now, I'm not reading books heavily. I just read like a lot of scripts.
Hmm.
Like a lot. I've read like a lot of scripts um since like I graduated. I just read because I really like when you're just getting better and you're just kind of locked in and you just seeing this stuff. I read like a lot of scripts on the blacklist and I read like a lot of pilots.
Yeah.
Um, I wanted to get back. I want to get back into like reading books.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, I ain't gonna lie. Like that's really what I've been kind of locked in the zone, and I just read like a lot of scripts.
That's fine too. What was the last script that you
Last
read?
script I read a lot. I read the pilot to the last one. I'm reading so much just because I read so I give you like the last like couple. I read
All right.
Challenger that's coming out early next year. That's Zendaya starring in it.
Okay.
I don't know if you've seen that trailer where it got like a lot of people's attention because I think it looked like she's about to have like a threesome with two dudes and kind of got like a lot of attention.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
I read that. I read Challengers. I read They Clone Tyrone again. That's one of my favorite scripts. Um, I read why am I? Bro, I can pull out my phone because it's all on my reading list. I don't know why I'm tweaking like this. I don't know if I'm
You good, bro.
what I'll write on you. I was gonna say. Let me see. It's all on my reading list.
And for
Um,
those that don't, and for those that don't know, how do you find these scripts?
so really you can go on TV, Google pilot, and those will pop up. All the each year for television shows, there's always, what's coming out on what shows are premiering. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? So I have all the years, and then you could just click on whatever pilot had got made. Like, you'll click on 2022, 2023. Like you'll be like on a website, you click and it'll be like all the pilots that were produced. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? You got that. There's a new website for black filmmakers or black writers, and like it'll be like there's like this website called the Black Script. And like it'll just be all like, top tier like black scripts from all classics we have or recent like black films or TV shows. And then so you got that. And then you got the blacklist. The blacklist is the best unproduced Hollywood scripts. And you will kind of go on that and kind of just like see what, you'll kind of study and then we'll say like, okay, well, me, I study like, okay, like why did this get chosen? Like,
Hmm.
why is the script so special? And you kind of like learn. It's just like, it's like how I treat filmmaking and writing kind of like how Kobe, like, how Kobe and Mike did. Like you study not really your opponents, but you study the game so you can get better. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? It's more so like how you study, like coaches, like they study tape. Like,
Yeah.
what I mean? Like you kind of got to study it. You study the craft, and everybody's like doing that because that's how you get better.
Right.
You know what I mean? So yeah,
Repetition.
facts. I was gonna show you. I was gonna say Swagger. That's a show on Apple.
Bro,
Apple.
we can talk about Swagger, bro. But
I
go ahead,
didn't
keep going.
I haven't got into the show though. Only it was only the pilot. Uh
Oh, okay, okay. I ain't gonna say nothing
yeah.
there.
I just okay, the last two I know because they're right here because I just read so much, bro. Hacks is on HBO. It's on HBO Max.
What's that about?
It's basically about it's two women. It's an older comedian. It's a woman, and like she's starting to her career starting to fade a little bit. And then you have a TV writer who's a younger person, maybe like around our age, and like the younger writer is basically her career is at a halt because of something. She was involved with a controversial tweet, and nobody wants to hire her inside their rooms.
I see.
So her manager it also manages the older comedian and basically links them up, but they're like very different. So it causes like a conflict. Like she's kind of stuck in like her old ways with like jokes, and then she's kind of like really new, came up there on Twitter, and she doesn't really respect it. And I was just really reading the pilot, and then what other one did I just say? Showtime with the show Winning Time with the Lakers. It's on HBO.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah,
Those are the
yeah.
last pilots I read.
You
You know what
know
I mean?
what? You like the fourth person that mentioned Winning Time, so I might have to get on it. I still ain't seen Winning Time yet.
Yeah, it's like absurd. It's like comedy. It's just entertaining to watch and like entertaining to read for real, man.
Yeah, and yeah, I'm sure. And the dude looked just like Magic too. It's kind of
Yeah.
scary.
That
Yeah,
show it's on point. You know what I mean?
that's what's up. Like it's pretty accurate, and the acting is everything seems pretty believable.
What you mean as far as yeah, like it's more so. I mean, it's comedy.
Oh, it's a comedy?
Yeah, no, it's a comedy.
Oh,
It's not like a drama. So like everything they do is kind of like over the top but I see why they do it though. You know what I
Mm,
mean? Like they
yeah,
got magic with all these women and like the way he looks at women because
yeah.
it's more so like in a comedy like sense or whatever,
And
you
you
know.
know, he's documented his his bodies. Well, not who he fucking, but as far as what he doing,
Yeah,
he's documented himself being outside for
yeah.
sure.
So he was definitely outside on that show. They got him outside for real, man.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay, that's what's up. I like that. Okay, that definitely seemed like a good list.
yeah.
But I'm very, one thing I noticed going back to you reading is you seem to like horror. You
Mhm.
definitely seem to have something about horror and thriller. The thriller genre. You mentioned you read It, you read Goosebumps, talked
Yeah.
about Scream.
Mhm.
I Know What You Did Last Summer. Uh, would you say horror is your favorite genre of story, or is there something else? Like, what makes you enjoy it so much?
I'm not gonna lie. Kind of growing up, it was like my favorite genre. You know, horror was my favorite genre. Um, I generally love because there's always like some mystery to it, and then it's like kind of like the Scooby Doo feel of it, of like, you know, like I feel like they're the most entertaining. I mean, that's like the most entertaining like genre, and I don't want to say the easiest to make, but it doesn't really take a lot to go and tell like a horror story. It's kind of really all about the creativity. Like you look at, you know, Hollywood. There's been like a lot of horror films that was made to little like to nothing, but the story was so intriguing, you
Hmm.
know, they became hits. I mean, you got like Halloween, you got
Blair
Friday the
Witch Project.
13th. Yeah, that you got Friday the 13th, you got Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Man, you got Nightmare on Elm Street was only made for like like a million, even though back then, like because of inflation, like the dollar was, you know, the dollar, like yeah, it was different to
Hmm.
travel.
Hmm.
But I was just always intrigued with the story, just because it was always like like it was like so exciting to just read and kind of like even watch. It was like a thrill to it. Like, um, yeah, I mean, I can really just say that kind of like growing up, as far as making and what I like writing, like horror kind of like faded like a little bit, and I started really. I say by the time I was leaving high school, I would say like drama came like my favorite like genre, just because it was like more so relatable.
Hmm.
I feel like with drama, it's not real drama, especially television shows. It's never really about like the plot. The plots be like me. You can come up with a plot right now. It's really about the characters.
Yeah.
You feel me? And like how you relate to the characters and like the universal themes that are implemented inside the story that connects you with, you know, that basically that's how you like resonate. That's how it resonates with you.
Hmm.
Horror, it was more so like horror. I don't really find it's not really like relatable to me. It's really just a story has like so much thrill to it. You know, you know, you just want to watch it. So drama became my favorite genre, and all forms of drama. You got dramedies, you got crime drama, you got teen drama,
Right.
you got melodrama. Um, I would say drama. Horror was never really like my favorite genre. Kind of like looking back, it was always a 50-50 with drama, because when I was in elementary school, my mom used to work. My grandparents used to watch me. You know what I mean? My grandfather used to stay home because he was sick, and my grandmother used to work. And there wasn't a lot of TVs in the house, so my grandmother used to watch the soaps, you know, on daytime soaps like ABC, man. And
Yeah. General
all my
Hospital.
children, it used to be All My Children, One Life to Live, General Hospital, back to
Yeah.
back.
Yeah.
And so I don't know if maybe they were watching me during the summer, but like I just remember it because you got to think about it. Every day, your grandma coming home to watch the same thing. There's only one TV in the house.
Yep.
Like I'm watching it as well, and like bro, I'm like a little kid, and I'm watching this, and I started getting intrigued with the storylines. And I
Mm.
was like a little kid, I couldn't relate to this. Like they were all white, and then they were all like just grown. But my grandma used
Yeah.
to watch them, but like I became a fan of it. Like I know
Wow.
I can tell you all the characters in there, right? I can tell you all like every single character, bro. Like every single character. I remember certain storylines. And then I think that was like the seeds that made me want to become like a storyteller, because I think the only thing with it that kind of like I would have probably be farther in my career right now if I really was just honing on it, because it was I didn't give up, but I didn't go like super hard back then, even when I was a kid, just because everything I was watching, and then when I was looking it up, I just see nobody black doing it.
Mm,
I didn't see anybody black, and then like those, and then all those shows, there weren't any. There may be only like one or two like black characters, you know what I mean? But it was all white people. But it was,
right,
I love those shows though, man. Those shows definitely influenced me, like as a storyteller. You know what I mean? It was just straight, just those storylines. Like, all right, I gotta watch what happens tomorrow. You know what I mean? So
right.
I'll say drama and horror was always like 50-50 for real, to be
Hmm.
honest. You know what I mean? So
That's what's up. Yeah, ain't nothing wrong with that. They definitely culture staples.
fact.
Uh, no doubt about it. Is there a character? Give me a character from any soap opera that you watched as a kid. Which character would you see yourself hanging out with, and which character could you not stand?
I mean, soap operas. I remember, I remember in all my children. Um, man, I used to be. I'm a big fan of Michael B. Jordan. Um,
Hmm.
I remember watching the show back then. He was the first black character I ever seen on there, and I think
He,
when I was a kid and I was seeing like the
he
he
was
was on
on. He was on All My Children.
he was on All My Children. He played, if I remember his character, his name was Reggie Montgomery. And he was adopted by this older white guy named Jack Montgomery. I forgot why he was adopted. I think he just didn't have his parents. And then um, I really resonated with his character because he was more so as a lost, like, black kid. And he was just taken in by his family, and they kind of showed him like how he showed him how to love. They showed him like, they gave him like real love,
Hmm.
and like he's kind of brought into more storylines. So I could see myself kicking him in because his character was like super cool. One character I couldn't stand was it was a dude named Todd Manning on One Life to Live. He was kind of like, his character was like, you seen Power, right? Power
Some of
with
it, I never finished it.
Power. He didn't sell drugs, but he was like the main character, James St. Patrick, played by Amari Hardwick. He was like him, the
Oh,
way
okay,
he treated people and the
got
way
it.
certain things he was trying to do. And I was like, man, I didn't rock with him, but he was the most intriguing person on the show. With the way
Right.
he was manipulating people, and like, he had enemies, man. He'll kind of get them out the way, man. I was like that, man.
Yeah, I knew that was Amari Hardwick's character. He was that medicine dude that don't nobody really want to fuck with, but they didn't
Yeah,
really like either.
facts.
That
Yeah,
makes sense. Wow. Okay.
yeah.
Those are pretty good choices too, right there. Hey, well, shout out to the soap operas. You know what I mean?
Wish they were still on today.
What'd you say?
I wish those shows were still on today. They
They
ended.
they ended. I thought that should have been going on for like 50 years.
General Hospital, I want to say, is still on. I don't know why All My Children and One Life to Live ended. I really don't know. I have to look that up.
Mm,
I don't know why they ended. I don't. I remember then they switched to like being like a web series. I don't know if maybe ABC just got rid of them. Maybe they wasn't driving, the ratings that they had at one point.
hmm.
But I
Was
don't.
it
I don't know what happened.
was it recent?
No, this had to be. By the time I got to college, I don't think it was on anymore.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm gonna look it up. Look it up why? Because my guess was gonna be like COVID or strike.
Yeah,
One
I
one
have to
one of
look
those
that
two
up. I
things.
don't. I really don't know.
Mm,
It's so crazy.
yeah. Oh, and,
Yeah.
and speaking of COVID, how did the pandemic affect your creativity and like where were you in the midst of COVID? Financial wise, job wise, creative wise, spiritual wise, like where were you during that time?
Man, I remember I had graduated, man. I didn't really have a plan. I didn't really know what, you kind of graduate and it's kind of like, what's next? I thought about like grad school. I didn't know what grad school I wanted to go to, but I knew I had to go to grad school like in LA. I was like, all right, I'm
Hmm.
going, you know what I mean? I actually applied to SCAD, you know what I mean? I got in, but like it kind of wasn't really making sense. You know what I mean? 'Cause I started like kind of contemplating, okay, do I really need this? And if I'm gonna go to grad school, like I'm gonna go to LA, like I'm gonna go
Hmm.
because that's what I know for exactly what I want to do. Like I have to be there. I knew by the time I had graduated, I knew I'm like, okay, I knew for sure I wanted to write for television. You know what I mean? I knew like, okay, well, you have to move to LA. Like, if fans or buts about it. You know what I mean? So I ended up like moving back home, still trying to figure it out. Was working like just kind of wherever I can.
Yeah.
Call center, jobs that weren't really like too difficult. Really was really lost because I didn't know like what, like, you kind of graduate and it's like what, like you're in the real world. Like,
Hmm.
I mean, you're just in the real world.
Yeah.
Um, pandemic had hit. I got accepted to LMU. You
Yes,
know,
sir.
um, I didn't know if I still want to go just because just that tuition again. You know, what I mean, I was just wondering, okay, do I really like need this? Like, is there a way I can be successful and get where I wanted to be like without this? And then I think COVID had hit, and then it was just like, all right, I don't. I decided just not to go, just because like it was I didn't really know what the world was going to be after COVID. You know what I
Mm.
mean? Because like we never experienced something like that. Where okay, everybody inside their houses, and then I remember I was working at Amazon at the time. You know what
Bro,
I
you
mean?
too? I was at Amazon too, bro.
I was,
Oh
hey man,
God.
I was getting to it, bro. I always been my parents like are workers. Like I've been around like hard workers like all my
Yeah.
life. So working, like I'm always like working. You know what I mean? I feel like it's kind of it's kind of really bad because I work so many hours, and like you
Hmm.
get to a point when you're a worker, and it's like that's how you define yourself, if that makes sense. Like, you know what I mean? So like when you're not working, you feel like you're not being productive, and it's just like it's bad, bro. I don't know how to really kind of explain it.
No, I get what you mean. Like you get so mixed of mainly trying to get paid in order
Yeah,
to survive. And when you feel like you're not working and you're not getting the money that you want to get in order for you to live, you feel like you are wasting your time. Or actually, both things can be true at once. You know, some people get so used to a routine, constantly all the time working all them hours. You know what I
mhm,
mean? You get conditioned into thinking that's all you know. Forget about
yeah.
everything else. Forget about my hobbies. Forget about even my goals in the future. Right now, I'm right now, all I know is to go to work, get paid, and go home and go to sleep and wake up so I could do that shit again.
Well,
And we get so used to that cycle that that's all we know.
more so not just working to always get money. I'm talking about even working just in anything, like just being like productive. Like I sometimes I think one thing I struggle with is kind of like taking some time out and like getting rest, because I'm always like worrying, because I always want to be like father. I see myself father, and like like my parents, kind of growing up, like they always just like they worked for the things that they wanted, like
Hmm. Yeah,
that was really
yeah.
that. But yeah, I was working at Amazon, and I was collecting checks,
What
shooting time.
what part were you in? Like, what was you doing there?
I was doing delivery.
Oh, okay,
Yeah, I was
got you.
doing delivery.
I was in the warehouse. That's
Oh,
why.
dang! Oh, yeah, you did tell me
Yeah.
that. But no, I was, I was sacrificing my life for real. I was staying at home at the time at the crib, so I didn't really have to like work. But like my mind when I got home, I was more so worried about like trying to get out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I was like, okay, I was wondering, okay, am I gonna go to Atlanta or am I gonna move to LA? But I knew if I was gonna go to LA, I knew that I only knew like one person in LA. I was like, if I go to LA, or I'm gonna have to go to like school or something. It's just too expensive. Like, what am I gonna do? I don't really know anybody. I don't have any connects. So time had went, and then I had saved up enough bread, just because like I'm at home, like it's no really crazy bills I gotta pay. I'm just paying maybe like something small, whatever. Had enough saved up, and then that's when I decided to just. I said I'm not gonna go to LMU, like I said, just because like I didn't really know what the world's gonna be after COVID. This is 2021, and I ended up just moving to Atlanta, like moving back to Atlanta. We had my
Wow.
apartment, had my own spot. I mean, I was good, I mean? So, and I was like, back to the grind. And that was like within the time of COVID. You said creatively, I didn't even think creatively.
You good, bro?
I was talking about just work. Creatively, I tried to make another short. It was gonna be my second one in Aurora, but it was like this was like in the midst of COVID was high, so I didn't have
Hmm.
access to anything. You know what I mean? I didn't even have it. I knew one DP, and he was working with me, but we just couldn't get it finished. We didn't have access to stuff. It was basically about like a female basketball player. It was gonna be short. It was kind of a concise story, but certain things that we needed, we just didn't have, and we just didn't have a lot of resources. So I scrapped it. You know what I mean?
Oh
I
man.
put it the effort, it was just too much, and it was like just a two. We didn't really. It wasn't even a skeleton crew. It was really just me and him. I mean, I scrapped that, said I'm not gonna do it. But man, like my mind is so weird, bro. Because like I said, I grew up an athlete. I mean, I just kind of have a competitive mindset. So I'm like, okay, that's when I had in my mind, like, all right, I'm gonna go to Atlanta, and like I'm gonna make another short, and like I'm not gonna play, like I'm not gonna play around with this shit. Like I'm
Right.
going. So
Yeah.
within that, I wrote another short. You know what I mean? I was kind of like um taking some things that I was going through. and I knew I wanted to make a gritty drama because I knew it's easier to shoot, and I wanted the characters to kind of be more relatable, and I wanted to be about certain people I just knew, you know
Mm-hmm.
and I knew I wanted to tell a story because like it wasn't going to have a strong budget. It was going to be self-financed. I knew I wanted to tell a story that people would be, they would be excited they would be excited to want to be a part of it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I wrote that, and that was my short film, like Urgency. Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. And then I had wrote it, man. And now we talk about like drafts. You know what I mean? It started out was like, I was doing a little like too much on the draft. So like, I kept getting like, I get notes from people. I'll send it to some people like, man, what you think it is? The log line I had already like intrigued like everybody I was talking to. Like basically saying, man, I'll watch that. That's how I kind of test certain things out. Um, that's how you gauge people's interest. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean?
Mm-hmm.
But really with the script I had wrote, because really I have an idea, and it's really about when I told you writing is so many drafts, like you outline it of everything, but then like you'll be so excited for the story, you just don't know how you want to tell it. Okay, should I do this? Should I do that? And then like one of my best friends who also produces my short films, he kept giving me notes like saying, "Hey man, like we'll," but he wouldn't help me write it, but he'll give like just notes.
Yeah.
Like, oh, it should be a little bit more like this. Like, can we see this? And then maybe you should change this opening and do this here. You feel me? And then like I will go like write it. Just take notes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then I was really like nervous a little bit, you know what I mean, until like I put a casting call saying, man, I'm doing this, and what the log line was. And like it just it intrigued like a lot of people. I didn't know it was gonna get that much attention. And it was kind of like got like a lot of anxiety, like, you know what I mean? Like people was
Yeah.
reposting it. If y'all wanna audition for this, man, it sounds hot. You know what I mean? So did that, and like I was geeked, man, and I picked the apartment I was gonna go to in Atlanta, and shit, I just moved back, and that was like, well, I'm going, okay, I'm gonna go, and I'm gonna make this short. Wherever I gotta work, whatever I gotta do. I really moved back because I was trying to work in production as well.
Mm.
And God and blessed by the Lord. So super blessed, man. I end up finally like working, in the industry, reality television. I
Yeah.
got super. I'm not lucky, but just blessed. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? So, um,
Yeah.
so yeah, so that was like COVID. You know what I mean?
Well, first of all, congratulations on I feel like I said congratulations multiple times before, but I'm gonna say it again. Congratulations on making an excellent project. Urgency is a hell of a film.
Appreciate
For
it.
sure.
Thank you so much, man.
Love the characters, love the plot twists,
Yeah,
love the authenticity, I love the realism behind
yeah.
it. That was definitely something to watch. Now it's funny because you call it a short film. I wouldn't, and this is just, you can call it however you want to call it. I wouldn't consider it a short film because it's an hour. Like that's a whole movie, bro. You feel me? I feel like short film can range from like 2 to 20 minutes.
Hmm.
I feel like that's a range of a short film, but you made a whole film.
Yeah.
You feel me? That was, pretty groundbreaking for the city. Like that's major. Not a lot
Yeah.
of people could do that.
It was like 37 minutes, but I get what you're saying though. I think, and that was one of my problems as well. I feel like I would have even more projects, like a traditional short film, like a traditional, like we were like disengaged, like the internet or gauge, like short films. They're really like from 5 to like 16, 17, you know,
That's true.
and really, obviously, they're just shorter because it's just easier to produce. Like the longer you go, the more expensive it might be, more stuff may fall apart. The performances may not be how you want them because like now you spend more time with people, more stuff just kind of gets exposed,
hmm
instead of like making this like tight, concise story. But I mean, I get what you're saying. Though. I mean, yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
yeah,
that's true. That's true. I mean, and my bad, I stand corrected. You're right. That was about 40 minutes. It definitely
yeah,
was.
yeah, yeah,
But it was
yeah.
closer to
Yeah,
the
like,
end.
like right on that edge, for real.
Word. I get it. And if you don't mind sharing, how was the chemistry like between you directing the project to the actors and the crew behind it? Like how was the chemistry while working on this project? Was it smooth? Was it drama? And you don't have to say no names. Was it did y'all get things done that y'all wanted to get done? Was there any setbacks? How was the process of making and building this project that came from your head?
Yeah, so the first person I hit up about the project, obviously I had people who were involved who, I always had like a group of friends I went to college with, who always like supported me. Um, so I hit them up and they were like really excited with the material and kind of like they said, okay, yeah, well, this is what we need. Like, this is hard. The story kind of like resonated with them. And then I hit up our person I wanted to DP my first film. It was Trey Hazelwood.
Trey Hazelwood, yeah, I
Yeah.
remember him.
And really hit him up. And then like, it was really just the auditions. And, it was me and then three other producers who were like looking at auditions, and we were kind of with me. I'm gonna be honest, like when it comes to auditions and like when it's looking at characters, it's sometimes not always about who like the best actor is. It's about like who just fits the role. You know what I mean? I like telling stories that are super authentic. So like, I don't, it's just like, it's more so who has like the look for this character that is being like, I'm just envisioning, and like who I know can like really like execute. Now I don't ever like being like, I'm not like, you know you get caught like in a creative, like people, you'll go like deeper inside film and TV and you'll see people just want control of everything. Like everybody's
Hmm.
like, oh, this way, that way, that way. I'm not really like that. I feel
Yeah.
like I was like that maybe my first like project, and it was more so because like I tried like three times to get a count to make a project, and I was having so many difficulties that I like kind of switched my mindset. Like, okay, this has to get done. You know what I mean? I was graduating from college, so like, man, I got to get this project done. So it's like, no, I want it like this way. But then like I started loosening up, um, and realizing, okay, like this isn't like my project. This is like our project. It's bigger than me. But I learned this like a while ago. It's bigger than me. Like, I mean, this is like, so many people, who are just like a part, I mean, they want to be in certain places as well. So how can it's not about me, what I mean? It's like in this life, so I'm gonna be 100, like, my mentor always tells me, or like, it's not about you. It's about like how you can kind of impact like others, how you can
Hmm.
add value to other people's lives. You know what I mean? I had like I said, I had like two or three of the producers like just helping me like pick, saying, man, like what you think? You know what I mean? And it was like certain roles that like I didn't even like choose the person. Not that I was opposed to it, but it was more so people were advocating for them because they was like, man, like this person is crazy. And I'm like, all right, like this is what we're gonna go with. You know what I mean? You really believe in them because it's not just me. You know what I
Right.
mean? I think more so, I'm not gonna lie, I ain't gonna think more so. It's hard because for this project, I self-finance, like everything was coming out of my pocket. You know what I mean?
Mm.
That's where it just kind of gets like a little rough because it's like, damn, like I really wanted to, what I mean? Like this is, what I mean? Like,
Right.
what I mean? But as far as the chemistry, all the chemistry went pretty well. I enjoy everybody I love with, everybody I worked with, like I really loved. I didn't have a problem with anybody. Everybody was more so, more so everybody was more so like just enjoyable to really work with. I loved everybody's vibe. Everybody wasn't like, into, their characters. Everybody was like asking questions. Everybody was like, rehearsed. You know what I mean? I didn't like come and then we didn't like get ready for a scene. And, obviously people forget lines and stuff like that. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
People on the rise are in the upcoming, but up and coming, but what I mean? Everybody I worked with, I mean, I didn't have any problems with anybody. One thing I feel like I wish I could have did more. I did it though, because people, sometimes like as actors, they offer like suggestions, and then they envision things a certain way. As kind of like looking back, it's like when you're learning. I wish they had adjacency, like not adjacent, like they had agency over like their characters, but I mean, I wish I took some like their opinions in like a little bit more. Not saying that the project didn't come out like the way I wanted to, but I wish I gave them like a little bit more of a voice. But I gave them more of a voice because they did certain things like, hey, we'll do this take your way, and then we'll just have it like the original way. But just being more collaborative. But I think of the overall process, I really like enjoyed it. While we were filming, I was working in production. Those like long hours in reality TV. So
Yeah.
we would have to film when everybody's schedules are like are aligned, which was tough, and it just makes filming even longer. And this is why you should be doing like just the traditional short film, like a traditional short film, you should probably knock out like in a weekend or maybe like a week.
Right.
Unless you're trying to do a series that are like, a series or something like that. But unless it's like a feature, that's why you might want to stay away from like longer short films, just because things do pop up. You know what I mean? It's just, filmmaking is like a hard process. But I overall just enjoyed it as far as like the chemistry. I think everybody like, clicked and it came out like the way I wanted to, you know what I mean? Or even
That's
it did better than I wanted to. So,
wow.
yeah.
Yeah. That's beautiful. And I like the flexibility that you gave to yourself and to the crew. I think that's fire. And yeah, that's hard work. So you was filming your own project while working on the reality all at the same time.
Yeah, man, and those is long hours. I was working as a production assistant on Love and Hip Hop. I worked on
Uh-huh.
Love and Hip Hop.
Yeah.
Long hours. I worked on Just Steve Harvey while we were filming. Towards the end, I was working on Just Steve Harvey, and then during the summer, I started working on when Love and Hip Hop had ended. I
Hmm.
worked on an HGTV show called Married to Real Estate. I don't know if they changed the name. They were like kind of battling what name they were going to go through. And those were like
Sheesh.
longer hours. It's not like a traditional like 9 to 5. So it's
Sheesh.
tough, man.
So you might when the hell was you sleeping then, like during that period?
Bro, like man, bro, it was because like also with the film, like I'm creating like the shot list and everything like that as well. I'm creating a shot list if things need to be changed, like locations, like I'm doing all of that, man.
Yeah,
I'm doing all
like
of that.
that
So
that's a lot. Wearing a lot of hats.
luckily, luckily, when you're a PA, you have downtime when they're actually shooting because you're not, I
That's
mean, you're
true.
just, you're doing
Very
like
true.
movies. So I would do it within there, and then like do it within that time, and then like going home, and I wouldn't, I wouldn't get like a full night's rest, man. I just didn't care, man. I was, trying to get that project done. You know,
Yeah.
I,
Yeah.
I was
You,
hungry,
I
still
feel
hungry.
that. Word. Word. Wow. What time was call time? Like on the first, what time was call time usually when you started shooting?
Love and Hip Hop. I don't think the call time it used to vary. It was
Oh,
never.
I'm talking about your own project.
Oh,
But
my,
but
oh,
but
oh.
I but when but I am curious about that too though. But go ahead. Sorry.
In a reality space, Love and Hip Hop, it will vary. We will have to be at the production office, and sometimes like at 8, sometimes 9, sometimes maybe like 7. It'll be a range around there. It will always vary, and then sometimes we'll have like a late call time. Reality TV, man, is so it's so iffy just because like they'll go and oh we're shooting here, then they're like a location will drop, and then like the whole day we're just sitting around and we gotta go I mean do errands and stuff like that.
Hmm.
HGTV was more so like a strict time. I would say I have to be like its production office. It was still range around like that 7, 8, 9, just depends on what the location is. Uh, Judge Steve Harvey, if I can remember, that was like man, I forgot where we had to drive. That was where like by like the studios, kind of like where Marvel and them was at. That was
Hmm.
still like I want to say like 8, 7. Um, Mine for urgency used to just vary. I didn't really ever have it like too early. You know what I mean? I wasn't finna just do no early like call time because it was kind of like the short film was kind of more like run and gun shooting.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? So depending on the day, like 10, maybe like 11. Like if it's like during the weekend, if we're shooting something because people are working, jobs. People have lives.
Hmm.
If it's a week, that's where we probably get like the night shoots in. Like let's knock out like this night shoot. You
Word.
know, so yeah,
Word.
yeah,
I get it, man. It's a lot of hours, it's a lot of work. I yeah, you gotta somehow get through it the best way
yeah.
you can, but you gotta love it. You know what I mean? I get that. So how was the editing process for you?
Editing process was crazy, man, because I actually had to edit it like myself just
Hmm.
because there was like no financing to get the post production done. You know what I mean? It was really only like a budget for really just a color grading. So I
Mm.
kind of like, I had to put, I had to put the film on my back and I had to edit it myself, which made the process. I don't know like how long if somebody who's more experienced, how long it would have took them, but it took me like some months to kind of like edit it, like because I edited like by myself, like no help, and then
Mm. What program did you use?
Premiere Pro.
That's what's up. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's my shit too.
Yeah. And then after I got it to the way I wanted, you know what I mean? And then like also when you're editing and you're not like a pro efficient editor, you're kind of like you look at the film a little different. You know what I mean? You want to like, okay, is this good? Like, you know, if you're going through takes, you kind of overthinking, okay, am I using this take or that take? Or and then
Mm.
like you know, once I had it complete, I sent it to Trey, who was also the colorist on it. And then he kind of just like threw it on there and it was just hot. It was just fire. You know what I mean? I remember you know, sent it to one of the producers and I sent it to somebody else. And then it was like just the first 5 minutes. And it was like, man, this is fire, man. So I was like, hey, so
Yeah,
I got that skill underneath me. Like I know like how to edit, you know what I mean? It's just editing is just like it's a very it's a very like not tough process, but it just takes a lot of time,
a
you know
lot
what
of
I mean?
patience.
And a lot of patience, you know what I
A
mean?
lot of patience. Yes. Yeah. Yes, indeed. So when you finished it, when it was complete, when it was wrapped up, not just from the production's perspective, but from the editing perspective, did you
Mhm.
have a premiere, like a screening or anything? How was the celebration of it?
Man, I was supposed to have a screening in Atlanta, but man, I had completed the project and I was so eager, you know what I mean? I was so eager to bring it out and I was gonna have a screening. It was like two places I was looking at in Atlanta. It was one in I want to say Midtown and it was another place, man, but you had to book so far in advance and I was looking at all these places and then like you know what I mean, you just had to kind of book everybody just kind of like booked up for like what they was having.
Hmm.
So I was like, okay, do I really want to wait to have a screening or do I just want to like, you know, bring it out? You know what I mean? And then like me, I was like, man, fuck it. I'm gonna just bring it out, man. That was
Man.
one thing. I wish I would have did it more so for like the actors, just because they put, you know, so much is hard, you know, I mean, hard work and time into it. And if I had to go back, I would have waited to just have the screen and more so for them. You know what I mean? So you know, I just was like, you know, I'm gonna bring this out just because I feel like I just kind of had so much to prove. You know, because I knew I needed the project to be taken like seriously, like as a filmmaker. And people was
Hmm.
asking me about it, and there was more. So I was tired of waiting, like when it was done. You
Yeah.
know, I was just tired of it, bro. So
Yeah, I mean it's still possible. I mean maybe uh when it's like a 5 year, 10 year anniversary, you can do a little screen like that. Filmmakers do it all the time.
yeah,
If
they do, they do.
they have an anniversary of this project, have a screening, new fans come through, the old crew come through. So it's still possible to do it. Maybe
Yeah,
that's something to think about. Yeah, I mean that was a fire project. So okay, so you put it out. Did you expect it to do the numbers? Did you expect that project to get the numbers that it got, or was this like a surprise? Or were you like kind of blown away, like, whoa, this shit is getting big. I didn't think it was going to get this much attention.
yeah, no. So remember I first had brought it out, man, and like it didn't really um a lot of people were close to me and everybody was like really proud of the project, but it was just cool. Like it was just like, you know, cool, whatever. But then like over time, like it was just hitting, like it was just doing a lot more people were like hitting me up, like people hitting you up, like just out of nowhere, like congratulating it, people hitting you up on YouTube, people like, you know, emailing you. And I really didn't expect it. You know what I mean? I didn't expect it like at all. More so as it's not really like, you know, I just didn't really just I didn't expect it. You know what I mean? I was just thinking, you know, I just wanted to be taken seriously like as a filmmaker because it was just so much time, you know, from like my last project, you know what I mean? And then, you know, I'm capturing, I'm documenting on social media. So people are kind of like, you know, engaging with it, saying like, you know, when is this coming out? And then the editing process, when I had to edit it, you know, it took me a while to kind of like complete it.
Hmm.
So yeah, man, I was just super like kind of surprised. You know what I mean? I knew it was good, but I didn't know like, you know, I didn't know people, you know, would gas it like that. You know, I was proud of the project, but I didn't, you know, expect it to be like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean that's one of the best things any creator could do is impress themselves, right?
Yeah.
So you felt like regardless of how it did, you
Mm.
loved the project at the end of the day. You weren't concerned about how you weren't concerned so much from the outside spectacle. Not saying that they didn't play a role, but it had to impress you first.
Yeah.
Period. And you wrote something that that you felt like was true to you first. And some
Yeah.
people can't do that. Some people like to think about, oh, what's hot, what's trending right now. Oh, okay, this is the topic of discussion in society. Let's make a project about this. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? And a lot of times they don't pull it off right. You know what I mean? Like sometimes filmmakers and writers write something that's hot, what's trendy. They don't even give a fuck what it's about, but they have to do it because executives, producers tell them, hey, like we should do something like this
Yeah.
because this is how the society feels. Talk about it.
Yeah. That's more so. That's more so because like the studio like ecosystem. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
that's more so is like the thing about filmmaking and when it comes to networks and all these TV shows that the outside doesn't understand is you know like these shows aren't being financed by the people who are making them. They're being financed by, somebody else. So, if
Exactly.
imagine you're putting your money into something, they have say so on what's who's starring in it, what the budget's gonna be, giving you notes on the story. Like me and both know that because you're not spending your money on it, and then it's kind of like that's where it kind of just gets tough. But when it
Yeah.
comes to independent filmmaking, you have more of a whether you're self-financing is your project or like let's say like you crowdfund, which a lot of people do. Even Spike Lee did it. I mean
Yes,
he's
he
on.
did.
A lot of people get that or like you say you got private financiers or private investors. You have more creative control, and that's what
Yup.
it is. So but now your budget may be like lower. I mean you may be like you're kind of limited on what you can do, but that's when you have to be your most creative.
Yeah.
But you keep your creative control. But when you're kind of working in a Hollywood ecosystem or just a system in general, there's people who got there's this higher ups. Like everybody has someone who to answer to. Like like
Mhm.
Frank said, like everybody got somebody to answer to, and it just kind of is what it is. You know what I mean? And you get to a point where there is like people who powerful figures inside like the industry who probably have more power, or maybe they get less notes just because they've already proven like I'm successful, like I know what I'm doing. You know what I mean? Like Sam Livingston who created like Euphoria. It's like, all right, bro, I got it hit. Like y'all can't really tell me. Kenya Barris is like I don't really know like what notes he may be getting. It's like, all right, bro, you see all the stuff I created, like what I mean. I'm pretty sure everybody gets notes, but like it's more so it's like do you really have to take them? Like I've already created so many like lucrative
Mhm.
things, you know what I mean? So
Yeah, because at the end of the day, like as long as they're getting viewerships, which bring in more dollars, that's the goal.
that
For a lot of for a lot of the investors, for a lot of the higher ups putting in the money, that's the goal at the end of the day. How much can we get back?
facts. That's what it's about for them. Like, the creators they create, but like people who funding them, they're kind of more so like on the business side. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? How the advertisers, what I mean? They're more so how is this gonna sell? You know what I mean? They got
Yeah.
about the money. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true. And but speaking of the industry, like I see that you got you and I talked about this before. You working on some projects right now, right? That you're trying to get greenlit.
Yeah. So
I don't know if you want to talk about this because I can edit this out. You know what I'm saying? Because I
no,
know. Oh,
no,
okay,
no,
cool.
we can talk about it. I have one project. I don't want to say the name of it, but it's a spinoff of a popular sitcom, a very very popular sitcom. Wrote a pilot for it. Showed it to some people, got it to some people. This is before the strike. You know what I mean? Got it to some people, and they were like their response to it was really good. And just is a lot of things going on behind the project, and just trying to see if it can come to light to one day, what I mean, or something can come of it. Another project I'm working on is an independent project. I'm probably going to be crowdfunded for. We're probably going to do no, I mean, not a podcast. We're probably going to do a casting call for it probably by the end of this month. It's a crime thriller. It's a like I said, it's a series, and it's titled Scammers.
Mm,
It's if I had to compare the story to something. It's like a modern day Catch Me If You Can, and mixed with the recent film Emily the Criminal. Um,
Oh snap.
so trying to decide where we're gonna shoot it, whether it's gonna be in LA or in Atlanta. And basically trying to get funding for it. It's a more of a I say condensed story. You know what I mean? Like the episodes or like the parts are kind of more condensed, you know what I mean? Because it's kind of like easier to like shoot, you know what I mean? And it's a very electrifying story that kind of touches on different like, things that are transpiring like in society, but very like relatable. But it's just a lot of twists to it, man. It's just keep on like, twisting. So that, and then really those two, and then I'm just really just writing a lot. You know what I mean? I
Yeah.
want to I want to shoot like my first feature here, like real soon. I'm kind of like playing, I'm kind of dabbling like which one I kind of want to, always writing, but kind of dabble which one I'm going to put my all into. Like, okay, I want to get this like really made. Because after that series, I just want to kind of get to like making like my first features. I think that's what everybody kind of dreams of doing for real, man. So yeah,
Yeah. Only time will tell. I dig that. You on the right track.
yeah,
You know what I mean? You definitely put in the work to
yeah.
to
That's a
to
lot of things, man.
to make it happen. So take all the time you need. Take all
Yeah,
the time you need. Don't rush it. You know what I mean? Do not burn yourself out either. You feel
yeah,
me? If and have fun. That's all I can say. You gotta have fun with it.
definitely, man. No, for sure. It's all about, man.
Yeah.
Yeah,
All right, cool. So that sounds fire. Like you sound like you got a good plan on schedule.
yeah.
And again, you at so and you're doing all these creative things,
Mhm.
especially right now while being in LA. So
Mhm.
how's your transition to LMU been treating you, and how's the city of LA been treating you overall?
The man, the city, I always wanted to live in LA. You kind of always just dream about that, you know what I mean? Being like in a not a small town, but being like in Aurora, you know what I mean? You knew LA was where it was where it was at, especially when you want to work in Hollywood, like as a writer, you know what I mean, or as a filmmaker. I just didn't know how I was going to get there just because I knew it was just like super expensive, you know what I mean? And it's just like, it's just a lot of people. But I ended up making it happen. Like, right. I moved here. I moved here at the top of 2022 just
Oh,
because
okay.
opportunity just kind of had rose. And I'm like, okay, like I'm gonna do it because I knew because I was working in reality. I was meeting like a lot of I was peeing so much. I met I was like, not met, but I was like just in the proximity of a lot of high ups in reality. And I thought, working in reality, I'd be able to, okay, something will pop up and I can work on scripted, maybe, somewhere in production. And then like, I would just be able like to, get into writing. You know what I mean? Obviously I was writing, but it's more about so who would you connect to? But a lot of the higher ups I was meeting, they weren't connected to anybody in scripted. They were just saying, bro, like you gonna probably gonna have to move to LA and kind of like figure it out then, like, just call us when you get there and like, you know what I mean? And, we, have somebody we're connected to or got
Yeah.
you for sure. So that's what happened. Like I said, at LMU, I didn't go to. I was just trying to like thug it out without it, just because I didn't want to. You know, grad school was always like lingering in my mind, but kind of when I got to meet other, you meet other black like men with inside the industry, you know what I mean? And seeing that they're doing it, and you see so many people that are working inside the industry without it, you know what I mean? That's when I truly knew, okay, I don't need this. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
I feel like grad school, it may offer you more connections, you know what I mean, depending on which one you go to. I feel like the USC, the NYU, you get, at that point when you go there, if you're doing the right things, you're making the right connections, you know what I mean, it's worth it in a sense. You feel me? But I just feel like I could get in the way I want to without it, you know what I mean, without
Word.
playing that hefty, you know student loan over your debt, and then especially in this economy, you know what I mean.
Word.
So
Yeah.
yeah, but no, the transition, it was tough just because like it's so different than Atlanta. I low key prefer like Atlanta still a little bit more
Hmm.
to the culture. But here I've met so many great people. I one of my best friends lives here. And then I just met so many, dope creative people, but I'm trying to take just a lot of things I was doing in Atlanta and really converted to like here. I'm still trying to not want to say find myself, but I'm still trying to, get things done like here, if that makes sense. Getting
Yeah.
more done here. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? Because this is like I just remember I remember during the pandemic I was at home, man, and like I just used to have nights, man, where I just couldn't. I used to dream of being like in LA. I used to just dream of being there and like just chasing a dream and you know, you know what I mean? And then like it's some things in your mind, and I don't know if it's just like being pessimistic, but I just didn't think that I didn't know how I was gonna get here. I didn't know like, man, like, you know what I mean? And being here is just still like kind of like surreal, you know what I mean, being here and being like, just being here, man. I don't know, man. It's just coming from where I come from, just growing up with the certain people you grow up with. You just don't think you're gonna be like in, just in LA, like, chasing a dream, trying to make it happen.
Yeah.
It's
And
yeah.
now look at you. You know what I mean? You took
I'm
a
on
lot
Facebook.
for you to get here.
Son.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
That's
facts, man.
well, that's a hell of an accomplishment, man. And I congratulate you for your artistry and your work ethic and your determination and your inspiration too, bro. Because um, it's very easy. It can be easy to just be like, you know what, I'm not gonna do this no more. I'm gonna do something else. But you you had a lot of faith in yourself, and you had a team, and you still have a team
Mm-hmm.
that still believes in your work and your future, and just your work. You're a good guy. You know what I'm saying? You hella cool.
Yeah.
People that for those that don't know, you hella cool to be with. You know what I mean? You have a you have a really cool, real cool, chill demeanor,
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of people can resonate and gravitate towards that. So you definitely doing a lot of good work, and as long as you staying true to yourself and learning and unlearning through the process, yeah, you're gonna be all right
Yeah, I
for
appreciate
sure.
that, bro.